Before it premieres on the CW in November, we're here to get you up to speed about the Flash series, talk a little bit about what's about to happen, but particularly how the series might end, based on the details given, and also speculate some things about the possible new speedsters being introduced in the series. Enjoy! The story. The finale of the 7th season of the show featured Barry teaming up with his wife Iris, their future kids Bart and Nora, Jay Garrick, and the physical embodiment of the Speed Force to take on the big baddie, Godspeed. After the team defeated him, they locked him up in Iron Heights. Nora and Bart chose to stay in the current time, with Barry and Iris choosing to have their vows renewed. However, as the story goes, not everything is perfect after Godspeed's defeat. Because in order to beat the evil speedster, Barry restored his archenemy, the Reverse Flash, to life. He escaped after the final battle, who is known to have a big role in the final season of the series. And in addition to him, reports are saying that several new villains will appear in the following season, including a major foe from the world of horror and supernatural, with that foe possibly being Despero.
The wings give her an exotic quality, wouldn't you agree? I don't think I'll put her in the army.
Yup, he's an alien from the planet Kalanor, a dictator on this planet who will come to Earth to do the same thing he did on this planet, conquer. He'll be the first big baddie taking the scene during the 5-part crossover event called Armageddon. This event will also be the one to launch the 8th season of the show, an event which will also feature Batwoman, Sentinel, Mia Queen, Ryan Choi, Eobard Thawne, Reverse Flash, Damien Darhk, and the aforementioned Despero. Recognizable by his pink skin and his third eye on the outside looks of things. The Flash will be the only Arrowverse series to feature the crossover, but the consequences will ripple out the other worlds too. However, we're not here today for this, we're here to talk about some new faces, maybe some familiar ones, in the second part of the season, after the whole Armageddon event is over. About this part of the series, it has been said that this will be the time when the series will acknowledge Barry's transformation into the confident, incredibly powerful, secure team leader all of us were dreaming about. However, his relationship with Iris and the one Joe and Cecil have as well. The second part of the series will also address Iris's time sickness, but also villains from the past will also appear in one form or another, Kristen Kramer's newly discovered superpowers, and more. Throughout the last couple of months, many hints were thrown into new speedsters being introduced in the show. We've guessed 3, and those are Daniel West, Cobalt Blue, and Red Death. The reason behind our wild guess, that is, how it must seem to you, are the facts listed above. About Iris and Barry's relationship, the fact that a new speedster might be coming should probably be someone who we haven't seen so far in the live action, right? And lastly, one speedster who has had a lot on his plate in the comics but has never seen the light of the live action, so maybe the producers and Eric Wallace are ready to make his return, while also making sure that all of them fit perfectly in the story and the narrative of the series, of course. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Daniel West. First, we're gonna talk about Daniel West, a speedster who's very familiar to all the people who have been reading the comics of The Flash. He's the one who eventually takes on the mantle of the Reverse Flash. He's actually Iris's brother in the comics and not Wally West like the live action shows it, who in fact in the comics is Iris's nephew. We're mentioning this character because we think that the CW missed their opportunity with him as the Reverse Flash or some other version of him. The reason we think the show missed the opportunity is because if you remember in season 4 of the series, Cecil had a baby and she was named Jenna West. A character who's never gonna have any type of storyline in the show, and we think that the kid's name should have been Daniel West, so then we would know for him to eventually grow up into a speedster villain, such a cool twist at the end of season 4. And then maybe him being the main villain in season 5 instead of Cicada, making the show even better. So with this in mind, how can Daniel West still appear in the show? The most simple way is just like the show did with Eobard Thawne and say that he's from the future, a distant future, hundreds of years in the future, which is definitely possible with him being named Daniel West. But also not related to anyone on Team Flash, however, him being related to somebody would prove to be a better decision for the series as a whole, giving the viewers a much more emotional attachment to the character. Cobalt Blue. Next on the list, we have Eddie Thawne making his return in the show as Cobalt Blue, an awesome thing to see because he would pose a great emotional attachment to the villain. The reason for him being alive is that maybe the Reverse Flash could be involved somehow. He escaped during the Season 7 finale, remember? This would also serve as a great way to involve Eobard Thawne in the mix. Maybe he realizes that Eddie Thawne killed himself, so he got erased from existence, so then he goes back in time and saves Eddie or something like that, then turns him into a speedster, makes him hate Barry, which would be a great storyline to see on The Flash, improving the season as well. We're really hopeful that we get something like that in the 8th season of the show. He doesn't even have to be called Cobalt Blue, he could just be Eddie Thawne. Because the actor himself, Rick Cosnett, said that he wanted to return to the show, possibly as a villain. So hopefully we end up getting what we and Nick wants in the near future. It would be interesting to see Cobalt Blue on the show though, as he's such a unique character, and it would fit perfectly into the series, considering the past he has in the show, but also in correlation with the other members of Team Flash.
Bad timing, detective.
Stop! Leave him alone!
Red Death. And last but not the least, we have Red Death, a speedster whom many believe is going to be the main villain of the second part of the series. Because as we heard from Eric Wallace and the CW, the main villain of the back half of the season is supposed to be like a villain personal to Barry, but also an extremely scary villain, and the identity of him to be someone who Barry knows. All characteristics who would portray the Red Death. On the other hand, Bloodwork should definitely return to the series. He was meant to return for Season 7, but with COVID-19 and all, everything just got complicated, with some characters the show wanted to bring back just couldn't. However, his story in Season 8 would probably fit very well, especially if he becomes the Red Death when combined with the Reverse Flash. The show has some type of plan for him, because if you remember back in Season 6, he said that his time will come to escape, so there's a plan for his character in store. And we're speculating that he would play a perfect part in the Season 8 of the show, especially if he's there to bring the Red Death, who should definitely be the main villain of the show's finale. All in all, we would just hope for Red Death to appear in the show because he would be a great villain to end the series on a high note. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below what do you think about this trio and the possibility of them appearing in the 8th season, which according to many will also be the last of the show. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.